still play this anyway?
Yes.
Well, they have another game
You
left.
got to believe. I mean, if there's
You've been
some...
sending him to the Super Bowl all season.
Hold on here. So, like earlier on, there was a scenario like if the Cardinals lost and the Vikings won, they'd make it into the playoffs. Well, that didn't quite come true. So now I'm thinking, like, if there's a massive COVID outbreak for the Packers,
Do we get in by default or what?
I don't know. So I'm still saying the season is not done yet. Mike Mussman, Minnesota Vikings Radio Network. Are you with me? Skol Vikings, Mike Mussman.
That is the hashtag faith that only Paul Allen himself would actually dream up.
Well, he loves Paul Allen, so that's no surprise there.
Oh, he's the best. He's absolutely the best. Yeah, there is no great scenario to just an awful, awful season.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, this season, this world has been nothing like this that we've seen. So you never know. But realistically, let's go back to Friday. Was this Vikings team prepared? They were playing for their playoff lives. All the other scenarios you could throw out the window. The Vikings had to win, and they just, from what I heard on the radio, did not show up defensively, Muss.
Well, actually, they lost Friday's game the Sunday before when they played the Bears. And you watch what the Bears were able to do against the Vikings on the ground, putting up 199 yards and a couple of rushing touchdowns. That was going to be the special sauce that was going to happen for Christmas, and we got exactly that. We just got absolutely dominated. I mean, the Saints, I don't know why they threw the ball. There was times you were going, why are they throwing the ball? When they were getting like almost 8-9 yards a clip. And in the last two games, guys, Vikings defense have given up 464 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground combined.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I'm
mean,
thinking...
even when you got Troy Aikman on the broadcast saying, you know what, this defense just isn't good. And that's, they're wearing the shield. They're supposed to be kind of nice.
I remember now again, I mostly listen to the games and listening to the 49ers playoff game last year, if I recall, the 49ers just punished the Vikings rushing the ball in that game. Is this a schematic problem?
No, I think by the 49ers game we had some injuries. Joseph wasn't himself, and then now of course look in the middle, we don't have anybody. Pierce decided not to play this season. And then you got guys that are really good at some snaps in a game, but not when they got to go every snap. I think that's the biggest problem. Pete Bursich, the analyst for the broadcast, he said it best with PA during the week leading into the game was that if you look at your defense and you got a lot of numbers that are in the 40s and the 60s, that ain't good.
Is it a coaching issue?
I don't know. I mean, I think defensively you get a pass on this year, given all the injuries. You lose Barr, you lose, of course, Hunter,
right.
And you have, so many injuries, and the corners are young. I think you almost get a pass on that because how they've been able to actually put something together is pretty amazing. And the corners are getting better. They're just getting more reps because they're on the field a lot. But I don't think coaching in that particular side. I think offensively, even though the offense is the best part of the Vikings 3 phases right now, I think that the offense has a little more struggles and needs some more creativity. That's where you might see some change.
Mike Mussman, Minnesota Vikings Radio Network, our guest on the KFGO Morning Crew, and I'm nodding my head with you because I think of the Vikings offense with JJ, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Irv Smith, Kyle Rudolph. This team had the offensive weapons. I was thinking this team should have been able to roll up 45 points, and as bad as the defense was, win some games because they could outscore the other teams up.
Yeah, you know what? And that's the thing is that offensive line was always going to be an issue. It had been for years, and so why wouldn't it be this year? Then Cleveland gets in, and all of a sudden it seemed like the offensive line started to click. And then if you look at what the Vikings offense has been able to do, I mean, 33 this last week, 27 against the Bears. You're looking at really good defenses, even though you're playing a little bit of catch-up, but they're still really good defenses that you're putting up some pretty big yards and pretty big, stats. I mean, there's no way JJ could have a chance at being rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year, without that offense rolling pretty well.
You see it and you feel it when the offensive line is gelling and you have chemistry. Are we seeing that on the defensive side?
No, on the defensive side, no. Quite frankly, it's a mess. There's a lot of miscommunication. Guys are in the wrong spots. They're reading the wrong coverage. And you're watching guys like Harrison Smith. A lot of fans would probably go, wow, he had a down year. Not really. He's had to cover so differently, making up for mistakes that they can't utilize him how they normally do. And then I don't know what's going on with Anthony Harris. But he definitely, I think that might be one of the best moves in the offseason that the Vikes made. And Rick Spielman, by not getting him a long, expensive contract, get him the franchise tag. And, hey, see if you can do it again, and then we'll talk.
Yeah. Well, these are professionals, like, how can we be having so many mistakes here at the pro level?
Well, a lot of it is experience and mostly inexperience. And again, like when you talk about guys that, they should be coming off the bench and getting maybe 20 snaps a game, and they'll look really good and they'll do their thing, and it'll be great. But when they're in there constantly, and now you're talking about the pros, the other side has pros being paid very well as well. And so if you just have better pros on one side taking on guys that should be, coming off the bench just for, breathers for your starters, they're going to be exploited because you get to see every play, and you get to set them up and you make them look stupid.
Taking on the Lions coming on up this Sunday at noon. Do we care as fans? Should we care as fans? I'm sorry, but it's been a tough season last year too.
Well, a division game's always fun because they just happen that way, just because you see each other 2 times a year. If anything, you go and watch. It's like a quitter's game. Let's see who actually just completely gave up. And we've seen some of that, but on both sides, for the Lions and for the Vikings. And then mostly what I look for is, like, we would not have seen Tyler Conklin and him burst onto the scene really in the last couple of games had it not been for Kyle Rudolph in an injury and the fact that they needed to move the ball down the field a little bit more and use him less as a blocker and more as a catching tight end. And he's been fantastic. So there are going to be players that you're going to see go, oh, wow, that is sweet that we have that. Wow, let's watch another game with Gladney and Dantzler and how they're improving and, where they're making mistakes.
Season pretty much a wash for the Vikings. What would you like to see? How do we make this team better for next year?
Well, we instantly get better if we get healthy and we get guys that, Pierce decides to play and that. They're going to have to make some shifts and move some stuff around defensively, obviously. I still believe that offense is pretty solid, and you got everybody pretty much locked down. I think we may have seen the last game from Kyle Rudolph. It's really sad because he's such a great human being and been a great Viking. But he'll be still in the community doing great stuff after his career is done. But I think that they may need to shake some things up offensively, just as far as scheme and his thought process. I don't know that this is a Zimmer's going to go kind of season. I don't know if the Wilfs want Zimmer to go, but I think they have to shake some things up, and that'll be really interesting because you got to remember his son is co-defensive coordinator, and then when you get Kubiak, his son is the quarterback's coach. So if you fire a son, you got to fire a dad kind of situation here.
Yeah. And we've been, some of us aren't real big fans of Kirk Cousins, but we're locked in with a contract extension. What, another 2 years, or is it more than that Cousins has left?
2 years, yep.
All right. Any thought?
What do you mean?
I am not a Kirk Cousins fan, nor am I a Mike Zimmer fan at all. What about Carson Wentz? What are your thoughts on him? Where do you think, what do you think might happen with him?
That's the most bizarre situation all the way around because you talk about the money and what you're locked down for, and then you got Jalen Hurts. But I don't know that you could trade Carson. I don't know if somebody – I mean, there are enough teams in the NFL that need a quarterback. Patriots might be one. That they would take a chance on it and still have the money for it or the trade value for it. But, yeah, I just don't know. That feels like that's less a Carson Wentz thing and more of a fundamental thing that's happening with the Eagles. I think there might be some changes there.
Yeah, we'll see. And we're huge Carson Wentz fans here, obviously. A Bison player, NDSU, and keeping an eye on him. He's definitely talented. So hopefully if they end up trading him, he ends up with a good team and we can continue cheering him on.
That's the thing. Guys that are that good just don't all of a sudden get bad.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Oh, you bet, guys. Have a great day.
You too. You take care. That's Mike Mussman of the Vikings Radio Network.